Okay, good morning everyone, and welcome to the first assembly for over 2 years. I think the last time we had an assembly in this building was November or December 2019. So the COVID rules have prevented us from doing that. You might think, yeah, beauty, we've not had to listen to you for 2 years, Mr. Cairns. Well, hopefully what you get to hear this morning will be quite interesting. It'll be really interesting for me next week when I'm doing assemblies for first and second years. I've never had assemblies before in terms of expectations around behaviour and what we actually do, how we conduct ourselves in assembly. That's not going to be an issue for you guys in fourth year. I'm well aware of that. It's brilliant. I was looking through the window there, watching the seats being set out, and I was thinking, this is magic. I cannot wait to get in there and speak to a whole year group again. And you've been chosen, specially chosen, as the first year group that we're going to have an assembly with in the whole school. That's how important you are. I think it's probably more of a recognition of how stressed a year group you probably are. I think the exams coming up, we all recognise, are a major stress for a lot of you. Maybe for some of you they're a stress that you've not been experiencing but should be experiencing because you're not working hard enough. But you'll all be in your own position there, you all have your own feelings, worries, anxieties, aspirations about where life's going for you. It's been a terrible time to be a young person in society. All of the really good things about school, like trips, concerts, football teams, other sports teams, events, bringing people together to do fun things. We've not been able to do any of that stuff. Come March, we're going to start to be able to do a lot more of those things. The wearing of masks from Monday will no longer be compulsory in a classroom situation, although you'll still have to wear them walking around the school until the middle of March. And then come that date in March, we won't have them at all. Although, if you so choose, you'll still be able to wear a mask if you feel that that's something that you would want to do that protects you. So that's kind of where we're at just now as a school. We're going to talk to you a wee bit later on about some opportunities that there are for this year group that nobody else is going to get. Before I get to that point, I want to do the usual assembly things that we've been missing out on. So first of all, what I want you to do, if you've not already done so, is take off your outdoor jackets. So if you've got an outdoor, it's warm enough in here. If you've still got your outdoor jacket on, could you take that off, please? That's quite important. Now, I am aware that it's still cold. Yesterday the weather was awful, and that for health and safety reasons windows still need to be kept open in classrooms to ensure good ventilation, good airflow. However, from Monday we are going to be looking really carefully again at uniform. We tried it for a wee bit, but it was dead difficult to do it because of the COVID situation, because we can't have assemblies. We were speaking to people on their way in with their hats, sanitising their hands, etc. So I'm just warning you, right? From Monday, I'm absolutely expecting that everybody in fourth year is wearing full school uniform. I'm also aware, I suppose today's Purple Friday. I'm cutting about with that t-shirt on, which was great. Some of you are cutting about with slightly different things on. It is wear it purple, so it's maybe a slightly different day today. But from Monday, school shirts, ties, trousers, skirts, whatever, shoes and blazers. So that's the expectation in this school. I'm not a uniform fascist. In fact, at one point, and you'll have heard me say this before, I had to be convinced that having a school uniform was the right thing to do. For me, and for your parents, and for the staff, it is the right thing to do, because It's an outward sign of you being a young person associated, belonging to, contributing to, getting a lot from Cumbernauld Academy. I'm really proud of this school, probably more proud of this school than anything else professionally that I've done, certainly professionally that I've done in my whole life. And it fills me with a great sense of pride to see your achievements and to see you all dressed appropriately for school. So from Monday, we're expecting everybody in full school uniform. There's support around. Miss Steggles, if you've not got, if there's an item of uniform that you don't have, speak to Miss Steggles and she'll help you with that. Speak to your pupil support teacher, we'll help you with that. But we need to be in full school uniform from Monday. What else? So, timekeeping. You guys are pretty good at this. It's really important. We've changed, as you know, back to the single periods. There's no longer staggered start, so that will increase the amount of time that's available for learning and teaching. You'll find out in a couple of slides' time how much time there actually is available before we start exam leave, which you'll get if you're doing any N5s at all. Be at school on time, get to your classes on time between periods as well. We cannot afford to be losing any time. We cannot afford for the teachers to have to start the lesson because someone or a couple of people turn up late for a lesson. This is your future we're talking about here. Your future, not mine. So making the most of the time that's available between now and the exams is in your best interest. So I would encourage you, when you possibly, and so far as you can, to get to classes on time, to be at school on time. And in particular, I'm going to take a really dim view. I know probably won't affect anybody in here, of folk that are coming back at lunchtime late. That's just totally unacceptable. There's no reason for that. Absolutely none whatsoever. We've got a perfectly good canteen, in fact an excellent canteen in here. If you can't make it to the shops and back on time, don't go to the shops. Don't say to me there was a queue at Asda or Greggs. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in you being here on time for school. I think overall, fourth year are pretty good, in fact very good, making sure we don't drop any litter around the school. We've got the newest and the finest building in the whole of North Lanarkshire, no question about that. This is an outstanding school building, and it's incumbent on us to look after that for future generations. So, anybody dropping litter, I'm going to take a really dim view of that as well, and we'll be contacting parents. The folk in the canteen are really good at helping us and supporting us to clear up. I was speaking to the cleaners the other day, about 6 o'clock at night when they were in here, and just to congratulate them on how great a job they do in here. You know, they're brilliant people, they're not highly paid, but they're brilliant people, really important part of our school community. And there's actually 5 or 6 of them down from where they should be in terms of their numbers. So they're working their socks off to keep this school as clean as it possibly can be. What I'm asking you to do, because it's your school, is to do everything you can to ensure there's no graffiti, we're not dropping litter, there's no chewing gum, and that we look after the building. It's interesting for me that when people come to visit the school, one of the things they comment on is how clean the building is, how well respected it is. That's an indicator of how you are as young people, how respectful you are. And I think on that note, it's really important that we care for each other. This is going to be a really tough 10, 12 weeks ahead for all of you. Some people are going to struggle more than others. We've been through a pandemic. We can get through the next 12 weeks. And if there's somebody in your friendship group, or somebody, even if they're not in your friendship group, and you're aware that they're struggling, do what you can to support them, or alert one of the pupil support team, or one of the deputies or myself about the fact that somebody else is struggling, and let's see what we can do to help each other. That big sign, community, above the hatch, it's more than a word. That's about what we do every single day. It's about taking care of each other. You know, Purple Friday today, loads of people involved in that. Brilliant to see. What underpins that is a sense of what's right, a sense of social justice, a sense of taking care of people who maybe don't always find it easy. So regardless of what it is, and the exams will be a big feature for everyone, let's show each other respect just now. I can assure you that all of the staff in this school respect you. I hope that all of you will show respect to the staff and to each other. It's really, really important. If we don't do that, why are we even here? That's a life lesson. That doesn't stop when you leave at the end of 4th year, 5th year or 6th year. So respect for everyone is absolutely and utterly vital. So that's the kind of normal assembly stuff. I don't think I need to be ranting and raving and shouting and bawling at this 4th year. You're a brilliant year group. I'm a wee bit worried about whether or not you believe yourselves and in yourselves enough. I'm a wee bit worried that some of you have looked at your prelim results and think, I don't know if I can get it back from here. I don't know if I can get it over the line. I'm pretty worried. How do I actually get there? I don't really know, because I haven't talked to every single one of you individually about that. But I have been talking to the deputies, and I've been talking to the pupil support team. I've been talking to the faculty heads, and everybody's concerned for you. But nobody's given up on you. Absolutely nobody is giving up on you. In fact, if anything, what we're going to talk about next is, what can we do for you? Now, there is no point in us talking about what we can do for you if you don't want it for yourself. Nobody in this room should be giving up on what they can achieve academically in the forthcoming exams or in the forthcoming assessments associated with National 4. You've got a real opportunity to gain qualifications that could change your lives. You may not know what you want to do yet, but I can assure you, focusing on the qualifications you're about to embark on, not to embark on, to finish, to complete, will give you the best chance of achieving that. So if you've been sitting thinking, it's not going to work for me, I'm going to just wipe out 4th year, start again in 5th year. Think again. You can do it, and we're going to help you with that. We're going to engage with your parents, and we're going to give you a whole load of opportunities to help you get there. You are in the best school in North Lanarkshire. I would argue you're in the best school in the whole of Scotland. Not just because we've got the best teachers, the most committed teachers and pupil support teachers, because we've got the best young people. Folk moan about older people moan about young people all the time and say, must be really hard to be in a school. You've got to be kidding me on. I'm looking around and thinking, what an inspirational place this is. But I'm dead worried about you. I'm dead worried that you don't feel what I feel, in the sense of achievement, of what you're able to do. So let's talk about a wee bit more practically about what we can do for you as a year group. So, I need to stand back because my eyesight's rubbish now. I'm getting too old. Maybe I should just be a lesbian and wear my specs, eh? So, exams begin on Tuesday the 26th of April. Okay, so next week's the beginning of March. And remember that we've got 2 weeks holiday at the start of April. It's not a lot of time, is it?
No, it's not.
And when you see that, you think, how much am I going to have to learn? How many subjects am I going to have to do this in? How far behind am I? What about practical assignments that I've got to complete? And that might be quite overwhelming for some of you. Particularly given the fact that we haven't had exams for the last couple of years. Okay, let's talk about those practical things. Because sometimes seeing yourself in the situation and thinking about it actually helps. So where are you going to be? So the prelims were in the main gym hall. My understanding from Mr. Byers, who would have been taking this assembly, but has had to go somewhere else, is that not everybody was quite sure about what they should have been doing in an exam in the gym hall. That's kind of understandable because it's the first time that you've experienced that. So, that's where you're going to be, the main gym hall. There might be a couple of exams, smaller exams elsewhere, so you'll need to check the lists. We'll put the lists up before the exams so that you can see where the exams are going to be held. That information will also be on the school website. It's important that you turn up on time. Now, I was talking earlier on about timekeeping for class and respect for other people and for the teacher, making sure you get there in time. See, for the exams, it's not even an option. Because I'm not in charge in the exam hall, that's finished. I'm no longer head honcho inside the exam hall. The chief invigilator, Mr. Bishop, that you'll have seen if you did any prelims in the hall, he becomes the boss in there because the SQA run the exams separate from the school. Now, as a matter of courtesy, they'll allow me in as the head teacher, and they might allow the principal teacher or the faculty head in to give some instructions. Your class teachers are not allowed into the exam hall. They do checks on all of that sort of stuff. There are strict regulations about the seating arrangements, about what happens if someone turns up late. You don't just get into the exam hall. The chief invigilator makes a decision on that. And if you're late, you may not get in at all. Now, I understand that at the prelims, on some of the exams, quite a few people turned up late. They just kind of sauntered in 5 minutes late. That's not going to be allowed in the actual exams. So I'm emphasising this very strongly to you that you must be there. Not on time. I want you turning up at least 10 minutes before the exam's due to start. The last thing you want to be doing is turning up for an exam and then being all stressed about it because you just get there in time. You want to get there, you want to get settled, and you want to make the arrangements that you need to make before you can sit down. So, for example, you are not allowed to have a mobile phone on you in the exam hall. If you end up with a mobile phone on you in the exam hall, the most likely outcome is that you will lose not just that exam, but potentially all of your exams, because that would be considered to be fraud. It's cheating, it becomes fraud. It's just not allowed. So you need to hand in your phone, or don't bring your phone to the exam with you. So you put it in your locker, or you hand it in, there'll be a tray, you can hand it in. So these are rules I don't have control over. There's no any point saying to me, but Mr. Cairns, can we know? No, you can't. Because I don't make these rules up. What else have we got? Study leave. I think we decided yesterday on the date for study leave, but I can't remember, Miss Hart. Can you remember what we agreed?
It's the Friday before the 26th of the last week. That would be the 22nd.
So Tuesday 26th, Monday 25th,
The school finishes on the
Friday the 22nd.
26th.
So Friday the 22nd of April will be our last classes in school. And then if you're doing at least one National 5, you will then go on study leave. So that means you don't need to come into school. There may be the possibility for you to come in and get support during study leave, and we'll give you further information about that. But essentially, you will be marked as being on study leave from that point. So we've got 2 weeks at the start of April for the Easter holidays, and then you'll be back for 2 weeks, and then you're on exam leave. And we're only about 4 weeks away from the Easter holidays. So we're here. This is it. This is the business end of your education, beginning right now. All the stuff that you did in primary school, everything you've done in 1st to 4th year, that's all on the line now. And I should be trying to reassure you, and I will do that in a wee minute. But you need to know as well, if you've got your head in the sand, get out of the sand right now and have a look at the time scales here. It's unlikely that anyone in here will have clashes with their exams, but I do want you to have a look at the dates for your exams. I'll show you that on the website in a wee second. And if you've got any clashes, then I think you'll probably know about it, but I would say to you to go and speak to Mr. Byers about that. And we will make arrangements for you to be able to do that exam at a slightly different time. But it's not just as simple as, oh, you get to do it on a different day. You'll need to do it on the same day, and you'll need to be supervised, and you won't be able to speak to anyone else if that happens. We'll let you know. I think it's unlikely in 4th year that you'll have any classes. I'll be surprised if that's the case. You should be making effective use of study leave. Now that might mean coming in here to study. It might mean working at home. That's a hard one. I've got 3 children at home, one in 6th year, one in 3rd year, a younger one who's in primary 6th. And I know, because I watched them, that trying to get up when you're on study leave can be difficult, particularly if you've been on your phone all night. Think about this carefully. This is your future. Staying up all night and sleeping all day because you're on study leave is not going to lead to a good outcome for you. Try and be disciplined. We'll maybe give you some support around how you make the most effective use of that time, based on not just my experience as a father, but my experience as a head teacher, talking to 6th years for the last 10 or 11 years about what worked for them. So we'll come back to that. It's really important. You cannot leave the exam hall unless you're given permission. So you can't just get up and walk out. The reason for that is because that potentially disrupts or disturbs other people who are concentrating on an essay or a problem of some kind that they're trying to resolve. So the rules around the exam hall are about ensuring quiet and good order for everyone in the exam hall. See if the paper's an hour and a half long and you've finished it in 20 minutes. You've not finished it in 20 minutes. You've left loads of it out. It's an hour and a half for a reason, or it's an hour for a reason. Make use of all of the time that's available in the exam. You're not going to lose marks by writing more stuff, or I would hope you would. the other stuff I've pretty much covered there. Before I go into the website, does anybody have any questions about that practical stuff around the exams? Okay, nobody ever asks questions in an assembly, but if you do have questions, speak to your pupil support teachers about it. They'll help you with it. So, you all know this, but there's the SQA website. The exam timetable's on there. So if you know what subjects you're doing, you should know what levels you're doing them at. And there's the My Exams app there. You can download that and plan your own timetable. Okay, so I would encourage you to get onto the website and to do that. I don't know if what's been done on that in Skills for Life, but if it hasn't been yet, I'm sure it will be pretty soon. It's all there. I'm not going to go over that with you. So, I'm putting the fear into around what you need to do in the exam hall, what you need to do in terms of turning up, how many days we've got left before all of this starts. I know some of you will have been disappointed with your prelim results. That's partly what prelims are there for, is to give you a bit of a wake-up call around what you need to do in the time that's left. So, I'm going to pass you to Mr. McDade just now, who's going to talk to you a wee bit about some of the things that we have got planned for you. We've looked at the prelim results very carefully, and I think we've been able to identify some of the things that would make a real difference for people in here. Some of you are doing absolutely fine, you're on track, you know what you're doing, that's great. Some of you need a bit of help and support from different areas, and we're going to provide that for you. We'll pass you over to Mr. McDade just now.
Right. Hopefully this works. Right, good morning everybody. I'll not take too much of your time here, but I'm going to just run through what this is, and I was trying to keep my fingers crossed that when this slide came up that I was going to be able to read it, because if I needed to get my glasses on, we were all struggling. So, our idea is that we've got about 6 weeks of school time before the exams begin. And I know I'm trying to avoid being the voice of doom, but we have about 5 weeks up until Easter, and then we've got a couple of weeks off Easter, and then we're back. And really what we wanted to try and see was, is it possible to give you, or as many of you as we could, extra time for subjects. Okay? So what we've identified is people, first of all. So I got in contact with all your teachers, and I asked them to nominate you if they thought you would benefit from extra study, extra support, or an extra class. Alright? The next thing we did was then looked at when we could offer these classes. Now, to try and keep it all different from one, there's going to be 3 different interventions. This one's called Masterclass. So what we're going to look at is the times that you've got core PE and the time that you have RE. Now, some of you at the same time, some of you clearly are at different times, but all of you have got 2 periods of PE and 1 period of RE. So taking that information, I've tried to marry it up, and where possible, I've identified a period where instead of you going to PE or instead of you going to RE, you will be able to go and get an extra lesson, if you like. And the purpose of that extra lesson is to help you, support you, and hopefully help you achieve that subject. Now, for most of you, it's only going to be one lesson, okay? But for some of the lucky ones, the way the timetable works out, you could get 2 lessons. And I think there's only one of you who is absolutely lucky where they could get all 3 lessons. All right, I know you'll all be jealous of that. So, when we finish here today, then I've asked the pupil support teachers and the staff to hand out the letters for those people who are going to be involved in this masterclass. It's going to start from Monday, and as I say, it's going to run up to Easter, and then once you actually come back after Easter, there's going to be a final week of it. Let's see if I've got next slide. Okay, so for most of you, the letter is going to be slightly longer than this, but essentially it will tell you the subject, it will tell you the room that you're actually going to. Don't want any excuses that you couldn't find the room. It will tell you the teacher, it will tell you the period, and it will tell you the day. All right, and that will be given to you on the letter. Now, there are a couple of you who might have 2 subjects. And I've just kept this slide up here, but you'll see for those people who are staying back, you might have 2 subjects at the same time. Okay, and again, it's just been the nominations and it's just been the way the timetable goes. If you end up with a letter and it looks something like that, where you've got a Monday 3 and then a Monday 3, instead of me just choosing one subject and forgetting the other subject, what we're going to do on those occasions is, for the first 3 weeks, you're going to go to the first subject. So for instance here, you would go to history for the first 3 weeks and you would get 3 extra lessons of history. And then for the following 3 weeks, you're then going to go to maths and you would get 3 extra lessons of maths. Alright? There will be some of you who, the way the timetable works, you could be a Monday 3 for history and you might be something like a Tuesday 4 for maths, in which case you're getting 6 lessons of history and 6 lessons of maths. Now, we're hoping that this will really be of benefit to you. Okay, so as well as you getting the letter here, there's another letter for you to take home to give to others at home, to alert them and just tell them what we intend to try and put into place here. I think that's the last thing. Yeah. That's you and me. If you just, sorry. So, once we come to finish, if I just ask you to remain where you are, and then the staff, I've already given them the letters. If you do get one of the letters, then stay here, because I want to then talk to the people who get a letter, please, once we finish. Thank you.
Okay, if we just stay where we are, it's only going to be a couple more minutes and then we'll get you to your period 4 class. So everybody to stay where they are just now. In addition to the additional master classes, the lessons, there are also going to be opportunities for mentoring for a number of young people as well. So we'll take you out of PE and RE to do these additional classes for some of you, not everybody. But in addition to that, we're going to provide support around studying, around emotional support, around your well-being, around opportunities to study out with the school day. And I think they are going to take place between 4 and 5 o'clock at night, aren't they, Mr McDade, the mentoring opportunities. So we've identified a number of people who will also benefit from mentoring. And you'll not be surprised to know that we have a large number of staff who are prepared to give up their own time to support you. There isn't another profession and there isn't another school anywhere where you're going to get a deal like this. It's absolutely amazing. On top of that, the SQA as you will be aware, have provided additional information around the things that you should be focusing on in each subject area. So we're going to pull all of that stuff together and we're going to put it out in a one-stop shop Padlet on the school website. So all the stuff that you need to know about the SQA, about the timetable, about anything that will help you in terms of preparing for and undertaking your exams will be there on the school website. And Mr McDade, and I think in particular Mrs Johnson, are going to pull all of that stuff together. On top of that, there will also be the opportunity during the Easter holidays to participate in Easter school. So the teachers, can't believe this, are going to give up some of them time during the holidays to teach you. Now, we haven't finalised that timetable yet, and I don't at this point know how many subjects are going to be involved and when it's going to be. It's likely to be the first week of the Easter holidays, from the 4th of April, and the timetable will be available from very early in March. So I'm flagging this up to you just now because I'm looking for as many of you to sign up as possible to come in for Easter school. And if you need transport to get into school, we'll provide that as well. I'm trying to think of everything that we can possibly do to say to you, you can do this. You can get over the line, or you can get from a B to an A, or even a C to an A. The opportunities are here for you. You have been a year group that has suffered massively from the pandemic. I can't change that. All we can do is think of everything we can do to try and help you. So we've got the master classes in place during PE and RE. We've got the mentoring coming up. We'll have Easter school coming up. You've got the best pupil support teachers anywhere on the planet for advice and guidance. I'm saying to you really clearly just now, if there's anything that's worrying you or preventing you from achieving your potential, let us know about it. We'll take it on board and do whatever we possibly can. It's your school, these are your exams, this is about your future. Everything that we can do for you, we will.